Hi, it's Jacqueline or Galacticat, and today I thought it would be a fun idea to do a little art and chill session. Today I'll be sketching in my Winsor & Newton visual diary. I'll be using my Pentel mechanical pencil and this really cool mechanical eraser by Papermate. If you could find one of those anywhere, just grab them straight away because they're so useful and they have a little bit more control than just a normal kind of square or rectangular eraser. So I highly recommend getting one of those. What I'm sketching today is actually an idea that one of you guys left on my last Create This Book video. Chances are that you are here because of that video. A large portion of my subscribers are. But if you haven't seen that, I will leave a link in the iCard section. In that video, I did create a character as one of the prompts in the Create This Book, and I created a character called Julie, and a lot of you guys really loved it, and Mariah herself actually commented on that video, and the moment that I found out that it was actually Mariah and not like a fan account, I almost had tears. It was it was insane. It was a crazy feeling, and yeah, I'm so grateful that she saw my video, but a lot of you guys loved it as well. But one of my subscribers, Cherry Pie Island, said that I was thinking that her eyes would be baby blue, blonde hair, pink heart, blue, and purple pastel clothes. So I decided that it was a really good character design and I could do Julie's sister. I took that description and made it my own. I looked up some reference photos on Pinterest, which I love doing, but my drawings never look anything like the reference photo that I'm using. I literally just use it for the direction of the face and where I want the eyes to be looking and how the shape of the eyes should be looking, that kind of thing. So I have been asked before, because I do commissions, I do pet portrait commissions, and I have been asked to do humans before, but I'm actually really terrible at recreating a human face drawing that looks like the human. So it always end up like this kind of stylized version that you see me doing right here, and so I don't take commissions on people because of that reason. But yeah, I do pet commissions. If you are interested, I'll leave my Etsy link in the description box below, so go check that out. Okay, let's start working on a character profile for Julie's sister. I think that she is going to be younger than Julie. She seems to have a younger face, maybe about 16 or 17. I know that kind of creates a little bit of an age gap between her and Julie, but me and my brothers have a 6-year and then a 9-year gap, so it's not that uncommon. We already know that she's going to have blue eyes and blonde hair, but I do spice things up a little bit and do a little bit of an ombre effect, just like how Julie had as well. If she's around 16, she would still be going to school, so I feel like her favourite subject would be PE. I get the vibes that she really likes nature and going on hikes and long walks. I also think her name should be Amy. Amy and Julie sounds like a nice sister pairing, don't you think? It was at this point that my cat was incessantly meowing at me to go outside, so I decided to film that and me making my tea for a little ASMR for you guys. So now that the cats are satisfied, let's get back to drawing. I'm using my kneadable eraser here just to lighten up the pencil work, and then I'm going in with my Prismacolor pencils to colour it all in. That brings me to the point that I actually wanted to talk about during our sketching and chill session, which is mediums and how I've progressed through using different mediums throughout my entire art journey. A lot of you probably know that my preferred medium is watercolour, but I have been really liking how Prismacolors, or any coloured pencil really, work with my sketches lately. I really like how it kind of still shows the base and shows that pencil line work, and it has that sketchy feel to it still, whereas with watercolour I tend to kind of overblend and smooth it out a little bit too much, and I really want to recreate it with, oh look, here I am talking about a pencil sharpener. I'll explain quickly why I'm doing this. So, um, I find that using the bigger hole instead of the smaller hole, most sharpeners will have the two holes. But if you use the bigger hole and sharpen your pencils that way, you'll have less of the like color showing and less chance of breaking. So I find that it gets a really good point and you can get really good detail by using it that way rather than using the smallest one. Anyway, moving on, I kind of remember where I was now. Watercolor. Okay, so sorry, I go off on tangents, and this is what I'm like in real life, and I'm trying not to edit this out as much because too much editing doesn't show my personality, and I want you guys to know who I am. You know, this is me. So this is my rawness and how I would speak in real life. So yeah, anyway, I was talking about how I like overblend watercolor a little bit and how I want to kind of recreate this pencil. I mean, obviously not recreate the pencil sketchiness, but how I want to bring that looseness into my watercolor style as well. I think my issue with watercolor when going back to something like a human face that I don't know as much about as pets and fur, I have this stylized style stylized style. Anyway, I have this style as a pet portrait artist, and that has developed a lot in the past 2.5 years or however long it's been since I've doing it. I started off with like a $10 palette from my local arts and crafts store, and I was using the cheapest, nastiest little brush. And now I'm at this point where I have developed a style and I have different supplies and different brushes, and I'm learning what things work and what things don't. And I mean, there's always room for growth, but it's nice going back to this kind of unexplored territory where I don't really know as much about the subject or as much about the medium. So that's why I do a lot of pencil work, and that's why I'm doing the Create This Book, because it's a way for me to explore different art styles and different mediums and try and get that kind of looseness back that I had when I started doing pet portraits, because now I do it very structured. I have this rhythm that I get into when I do pet portraits, and I put a lot of detail in, and the outcome is exponentially better than what it was when I was using a cheap, nasty palette and brush. But it is nice to go back to something that I don't know much about or how to do much of, like pencil work. I mean, yeah, like I've got this basic pack of Prismacolor pencils that I use, and that's fine because I'm still growing and I'm still learning. I also want to talk a little bit about digital art. Now, I use Procreate on my iPad for digital art, but I haven't actually done much digital art recently. I did a lot at the start when I first got my iPad. And it was great. It was great for a beginner because you had this program there, and it had these brushes, and you could just play around with styles, and the fact that you could undo something like at the snap of your fingers, basically, it was incredible. And it helped me develop a lot of different things. I was using it for calligraphy a lot. I still use it for my thumbnails, and I was doing kind of chibi art, and I was doing like kind of a Grand Theft Auto style art, and that was really cool, and I liked how that turned out. But I did kind of fall into a trap of comparing myself to other artists. I know that's a super hard trap to fall into, and it's actually really hard to pull yourself out of as well. And I know a lot of people are always telling you don't compare yourself to other artists, and I stand by that, you shouldn't. But yeah, it's hard when you see these amazing artists and these amazing pieces of art that they're producing, and you go to their Instagram pages and everything they post is amazing. And then you look at your own artwork and you think, why do mine not look like that? So then you find supplies that they have used. They've used certain brushes. They have links to these brushes. They're either free or paid, whatever. Like, they don't cost that much. So they're really easily accessible. And so all of a sudden you've gone from having this program that has these brushes and supplies for you right in front of you to then opening yourself up to the entirety of the internet and having these supplies on demand, basically. And it's hard to figure out where to go from there. And I think that's why I stopped doing it as much, because I was using the basics on Procreate. I was using the script brush for my outlines. I was using the like the round brush for my coloring in, and I was using, I think, like a gradient brush or something for my shading, and that was fine until I got into that trap of finding other artists and wanting to be able to recreate something similar, or be able to find my own style, not use the stuff that Procreate gives you. And it's hard to do that. So I think I didn't fall out of love with doing digital art, but I got frustrated at it very quickly, and I reverted back to traditional art. In some ways, I think that traditional art is harder because you don't have the undo tool. You don't have the ability to switch your canvas around to see if it looks okay backwards. You don't have the ability to change the hue or color or anything like that. And it is like, it's pretty much, once you put something down, that's it. Like you can't really color over that, especially in the sense of watercolor and pencil. Acrylic and oil are a little bit more forgiving in that sense, but they're two kind of mediums that I haven't explored as much. I used to do a lot of acrylic, but very basic stuff. But yeah, I think that digital, it was great when I was a beginner, and I do want to get back into it and want to try and find my style again and try new things. But yes, it is very overwhelming, I think, as you progress as a digital artist. So that's something to be aware of if you are wanting to get into digital art, and then you start following all these other digital artists to get inspiration, and you're just like, wow, how did they create that? And then it opens up this whole new world. So with traditional art, I find it, as much as I said that it is harder, I find it easier to be able to sit down and produce something, because I have these supplies, I know how they're going to work, I know what they do, and I can just use them and create something, and I can be happy with it no matter what it looks like. Whereas with digital, I feel like, okay, well, I got to do this and I got to do that, and I got to adapt this, and I got to change the hue, and I've got to change the overlay, and I've got to change the multiply layers, and all this kind of extra stuff that you wouldn't usually have in traditional art. In traditional art, you pick up a pencil, you know what a pencil is going to feel like as you draw with it. You know what watercolor is going to feel like as you paint with it. You know that acrylic and oil have like a thicker consistency. You know what that looks and feels like. It's like that saying where you can look at something and know exactly how it feels like on your tongue. I feel like with digital art, it takes that away from you, and you all of a sudden have to learn all these new mediums by using the same tool, if that makes any sense whatsoever. It probably doesn't, but that's how I feel about digital art, and why I think I'm so overwhelmed with digital art compared to something like pencil, even though I admit that I'm not that great at pencil work. I know what it's going to do. I know when I put it down, that line is going to look a certain way. I don't know. It's an interesting thing to go through, and I think that as an artist, or as anyone who is exploring art, it's something to be mindful of, because you've got to understand your mediums, I suppose. I also think I find digital art overwhelming because I feel like you have to have one specific style. I know that isn't the case, and I know that in my head, and I know that it's the same as traditional art. You can explore different mediums and different things all the time. But the difference is you have to actually go out and buy those supplies to do that specific style of art. And with digital, it's right there. So of course, it's overwhelming. And some people absolutely thrive on that, and they find their groove really quickly. Whereas I'm the type of person who wants to try absolutely everything. And if it doesn't work out, I tend to get frustrated and move on to the next thing. And then I never fully develop a style in that original media, if that makes sense. So with digital, with it all there, it's kind of a little bit too much maybe. Anyway, we're coming to the end of this video, and I really liked having a chat with you guys and just chilling with you guys while I was drawing. And if you have any suggestions of what I can talk about or have any questions that you'd like me to answer, please leave that in the comment section below. And if you'd like to hang out with me again, I would absolutely love to see you here next time. So please leave a subscribe and like on this video. Thank you guys so much for being here. I love you all. You're amazing. Have a wonderful day.